singer David. He has officially been charged today with first-degree murder of 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez.
Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd for more. Shauna, we just heard that officials in LA are moving this press conference up. What does that tell you?
What that tells me is that they're ready to make an announcement. They have either found and secured enough information that they believe that they can get the indictment. They have enough probable cause. And it's likely that it was delayed due to getting enough evidence. They may not have had direct evidence, but it may be more circumstantial.
What about the rest of the timeline here? The fact that it took months from the discovery of her body to make this arrest. Now days since the arrest, he's still not officially charged with anything. Does that give you any red flags or any concerns?
Not necessarily when we look at the circumstances of this particular death. One, her body was badly decomposed, which means it's going to take longer to get results back. They're going to want to make sure that they verify those results and don't go with initial results. Also, she was found in a Tesla. It's an electronic car. They would have likely subpoenaed records from the car to figure out where it was before then, how long it had been there. Those records also take time. So likely this delay was a time to allow the state attorney to gather all of the evidence needed to secure the indictment.
Sources tell ABC News that David's arrest was based on probable cause and evidence. What do they need on that front in order to bring charges?
So probable cause means you have more than just a suspicion. It means that you reasonably believe that this person may have committed this crime. So that's why the other evidence is going to be really important, because whether they secure the indictment through the grand jury or they direct file, the judge still has to find probable cause. So the state attorney always wants to make sure they have enough evidence to meet that hurdle and to ensure, because let's remember, once they file those charges, it starts the time clock clicking. So they need to have the evidence in hand before they file that indictment.
Now, let me say something. Yes, I understand they need to gather a lot of information just to if they want to charge him with the murder of Celeste. But I feel like we all knew, or they had enough evidence to at least charge him with, what is it? Well, I was about to say sleeping with an underage girl, but they're going to have to prove that, and it's just dating, just saying that people are dating. Let's keep going, though. I don't know. He should have been arrested a long time ago. 7 months?
What happens if the DA's office doesn't bring charges? Is that still a possibility at this point?
That is always a possibility. We have to remember that although law enforcement and the state attorney play for the same team, they have different objectives. Officers make arrests based on what they're seeing. It doesn't always mean that the state attorney believes that there's enough there to bring criminal charges. So should the state attorney say, we don't at this time have enough evidence, he may be released. Now, we have to remember that doesn't mean that they can't bring additional charges later once they've secured that evidence. They have until the statute of limitation runs.
So what do you
Now, we're going to move on to the next video, because as we know, he has been charged with a crime. Let's get into it.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. With me up here is Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonald. Also at this podium on the DA's side are the Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez, who oversees our special operations. We have John McKinney, who is our Director of Specialized Prosecutions. The Assistant Head Deputy District Attorney is Habib Balian of the Major Crimes Division. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman of the Major Crimes Division will be the lead prosecutor on this case. From the Los Angeles Police Department, we also have Captain Scott Williams, who's the commanding officer of LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division, the Chief of Detectives, Alan Hamilton, the Director of Specialized Prosecutions, Mike Rimkunis, and the LAPD detectives on this case, Josh Byers and Corey Farrell. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4vd, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body. Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony that we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged.
Now, let me say something first before we get into all the charges that he's going to. I am happy because all I was seeing on the internet was just basically talking about him being charged with first-degree murder. But I'm happy that they're throwing in the child abuse charge or the child sexual abuse charges as well, because we can't forget that. At the end of the day, he was an older man preying on a young child who obviously fell for his lies. Let's get into it.
Now, back to this being a parent's nightmare. On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains, were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke. Thereafter began an investigation. The investigation was to determine who killed, who murdered Celeste months and months before. That investigation was carried out in unison and in partnership between the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office. At every point in the investigation, through the arrest and the filing of charges, the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office have worked in lockstep. There's been no disagreements amongst these entities in deciding how to proceed with this case, ultimately leading to these charges today. So what you have as well with these charges is that, again, there are 3 sets of charges that have been brought. The first-degree murder with special circumstances, and again, those special circumstances are lying in wait. That Celeste went to Mr. Burke's home on the night of April 23rd, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, at his invitation, and again, was not heard from again. The second is a special circumstance being that this murder was committed for financial gain. As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night. The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation. In this particular case, as the evidence will come out in court, the witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste while she was under 14 years old. I had the chance to meet with some of the family members of Celeste, and their grief is incalculable as to what happened to their daughter. What they have demanded, what we have assured them that the district attorney's office working with LAPD would give them is the proof beyond a reasonable doubt on who killed their daughter, on how their daughter was killed, when their daughter was killed, and bring that killer to justice. That killer that we have now charged is David Anthony Burke.
The DA's office announced the charges about an...
Yes, that is what I like to hear. No matter what, this is a tragic situation, and so many things went wrong. So many people failed her, but it took a year, almost a year, to the day she went missing, for charges to be announced. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let's go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this whole case, and just so we just remind ourselves what this whole thing is about. So as we know, David, who was officially charged today with first-degree murder of 14-year-old Celeste, comes 7 months after her dismembered body was found. So the core charges, we got first-degree murder, continuous sexual abuse, mutilation of human remains, deadly weapon enhancement for allegedly use of sharp instruments to commit the crime. As we know, the motives, lying in wait, they say he would lurk the victim to his home on April 23rd, after which she was never seen again. She was allegedly killed because she threatened to expose his criminal sexual conduct. And then he committed this to maintain his lucrative musical career. I rarely listen to him, so I don't know about lucrative, but he might have been making some money. So he was arrested on April 16, and official charges came today. Of course, he has no bail. His legal team, including his attorney, has stated that they will have a vigorous defense, vigorously defend his innocence, claiming that the evidence will show that he was not the cause of her death. He was not the cause of her death. Even if he wasn't the cause of her death, I feel like they got enough evidence with text messages, something. They have enough evidence to prove that he sexually assaulted her. And that alone needs to put him in prison for life. I know that's not the law, but it's just how I feel. Let me know your thoughts on this situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it.